Do you want to know how to encourage a child to express themselves verbally? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're going to be talking about helping your child say the words they really want to say. In this video, we're talking about two things. Number one, why don't the children open up? Why don't they communicate verbally? There's multiple reasons for that. And then we're going to talk about how to create a culture that fosters good open communication at your house. So why don't children open up? Why don't they communicate verbally? Well, if we understand the brain, we understand that the oldest part of the brain is that emotional center of the brain, that what they call the mighty amygdala, in that middle of the brain, which fuels a lot of emotional responses. And when a child is young, they just emotionally react and respond to things. In fact, every person emotionally reacts. If I were to start yelling at you, you would probably start to change your facial expressions and want to yell back at me, even if you weren't fully angry. Your voice tone may escalate or get a little bit louder just because I'm getting louder. And that's that emotional response part of the brain starting to take over, feed off emotion, and start create those emotional responses with inside your own head. When a person is young, that's how they communicate the most. If mom starts to be calm and take breaths, then the baby will start to get calm and take breaths, even though the baby cannot fully communicate. In fact, I watched in amazement as my daughter Paige taught her little baby, my granddaughter Clara, how to take deep breaths and be calm starting at 4 months old, which I never even thought of doing. And here I am, the one that teaches calmness and self-government strategies all over the world. By the way, there is a video about that. So you can find, I think it's like teaching a baby or a toddler how to be calm. Look for those videos. There's also teaching a toddler how to disagree appropriately. She taught all of those things even before Clara could fully form a sentence. She was learning the skills and principles of self-government, just doing it through emotional mimicking, because that's how we communicate at first, is emotionally. So why do some people not communicate verbally? Because sometimes they just see that the emotional communication works well, or that's their go-to, and trying to put together the thoughts verbally is much more difficult for them. Now, there's multiple reasons why a person may struggle with verbal communication as far as putting those thoughts together. Sometimes people have a hard time getting the right words. Maybe their vocabulary is somewhat limited, or maybe just using that prefrontal cortex is a little bit more difficult for them because they don't go there a lot. They've spent a lot of time in the emotional part, or maybe just getting the tongue to work can be a difficult thing. But I would say that for a lot of people, some of the reasons that they don't communicate verbally is because they're just holding back. And maybe that's why you're on this video, is because you have a person who you know that they've got stuff going on the inside, but they're not sharing it. And you're wishing that they would share it because you want to help them. You want to know what's happening inside so that you can help them have less stress and anxiety, find peace and connection, to know that you care. How do you get them to open up? Maybe the question on your mind today. Some people are extroverts. Some people are introverts. Some people are omniverts and ambiverts. We have videos about that on this channel. But let's say that the person that you're talking to is an introvert and you're an extrovert. It's going to feel like that person is not sharing enough with you sometimes. Maybe especially if you're not super close to that person. Usually even an introvert will share more when they are close to another person, although sometimes they still hold things in. There are some people that are more private. They like to try to sort through things on their own. In fact, sometimes they're more controlling, and that's another reason why they don't want to let things out. They want to make sure it's exactly right. They want to be more calculated before they let something out. that may or may not be healthy, okay? We don't get to control our entire environments. If you have subscribed to this channel, then you already know how often I talk about what a person needs to teach their child or themselves if they're trying to control everything around them. And what is that thing that they're teaching oftentimes? That is choice, that you have a choice on the inside of you, that self-government is all about controlling the inside of you, not controlling what's happening to everybody else around you, because that's never going to be possible. There is no amount of emotions or even power that will allow you to control what's happening in everybody else around you. But there are some people that try. And so they hold back information. If I don't know what you're dealing with, why is it that the person that you're talking to or trying to talk to won't communicate verbally with you? Could it be that they're trying to control you? Could it be that they just can't find the words and that they have higher anxiety and they can't put the words together when they're in the wrong part of their brain? Or could it be that they just have seen people respond to their emotions for these many years, and so they find that's just a lot easier for somebody else to figure out what's wrong with them? I don't know. But no matter what the problem is, there are some things that you can do. There are solutions for this situation. Of course, you have to have patience because you don't get to control anybody else either. So what about that person that maybe tries to control everything around them, and so they are not wanting to share things with you? Could it be that you've had communications with them in the past that would maybe make them think that they can't fully trust you with whatever they share? That's something you've got to be careful about. Sometimes someone shares something openly and then somebody goes and tells all their friends about it, or they post it on social media. They just don't show that they were a safe, private harbor for whatever that information was. Now, obviously, there's a few things that might have to be told, especially if somebody is in danger. By and large, when somebody tells you about, well, I kind of have a crush on this boy, the last thing they want their mom to do is to go tell somebody else, my daughter's got this crush on this boy. No, they want you to keep it private. They want you to smile and to help them know what to do with their little crush. Otherwise, they're not going to tell you about the crushes. In fact, society would tell them, don't trust your parents with the crushes. That may be another reason that someone is closing off to you, because society right now has decided that they're going to present the idea through propaganda, through media, through entertainment, that parents cannot be trusted with vital information, which actually isolates children and puts them all on their own. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you don't want your child to feel isolated with their problems. You want them to open up to you. You may have to apologize first for something that you've done in the past if you have let out information that you shouldn't have. You may have to say, I know that you've told me things in the past and I've shared it with people that I should not have done. And that was wrong of me. And I know that you probably have a hard time wanting to know if you can trust me with personal information again, but I want you to give me another chance. I want you to see if I can really hold on to that information, because I think I can. And I think I've learned from that mistake. And we always have to be able to forgive each other, right? So I hope you'll be able to forgive me. And then you'll probably want to start having regular talk times. So if you have the TSG parenting course, which is on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, then you know that in there I talk about skills and principles of self-government, but we also talk about the environment or the culture where you can create self-government in your home. So that culture looks like deliberately teaching skills, deliberately doing things to strengthen relationships, as well as having meetings where you deliberately talk about things. When you are teaching your child, which includes praising, pre-teaching, correcting, if they're completely going out of control, it includes intensive teaching, but also something called parent counseling sessions. When you're doing any of those 5 teaching styles with your child, you should be feeling closer to your child. You should be feeling open, willing to listen to anything they have to say, not shocked by anything that they say, non-emotional. You should be saying, anything that they tell me is not about me. I don't need to take it personal. I just need to be here for them and help them. That is my role. It's actually why I wrote a whole book all about roles, which is called Roles, The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. Our role is to be there for the child and to help them through things. But if they don't open up to us, it's a lot more difficult to do that. So having regular talk times is an important thing. Schedule them into the family life. At first, that person that doesn't open up may not want to open up a ton, but that's okay. You can just have the time, sometimes even sit there in silence if you want to, and say, ask them a question. Hey, tell me, is there anything that I can do to help support you in your social life or your life with your friends? And then just sit there. Let there be silence. It's okay. And then over time, when they see that you're really willing to listen, they might start to open up a little bit more, a little bit more. Now, if your relationship is really struggling, you might have to have a conversation like I showed in the book Roles, where the parents have this conversation with their children to help get the roles in the family and the relationships in the family on the right track. You might have to talk about what you want for the relationships, and each of you explain what you want for the relationships and then create that plan moving forward to prepare for better relationships in the future. But another thing that you need to do is make sure that corrections are safe. No matter whether the person is struggling with emotional problems or finding the words, or whether they're just shutting you out and that's why they won't open up, no matter what, the communication that you have from parent and child should always feel safe. So when you're correcting your child, it should always feel like this is a healthy teaching moment. I'm not taking this personally. In fact, I'm encouraging you that you can learn this other skill. Focus on skills instead of focusing on how you feel about what they did. Help them examine themselves so that they can learn self-government. When a person learns self-government, they have a knowledge of cause and effect, and they possess a knowledge of themselves, and they see how what they're doing relates to cause and effect, and they're able to fine-tune that as they move forward. So a parent would never take things personally. If you can help your child calmly achieve communication, your relationships will change forever. A friend of mine said to me years ago, when I still was raising my children at home, Nicholeen, your children are the happiest children I've ever known. And I've never seen children have such good relationships with their parents. I keep hoping and wishing that my child that doesn't want to open up to me might open up to me. It broke my heart to hear that. And I said to her, be patient, but trust that child does want to tell you stuff in her time. And also trust that even if every single word that you want said isn't said, that she's saying a lot of things on the inside that are positive if you can feel the positive communication coming back from her. Spend the time, put in the time, and when you correct her, don't take it personal. She reported to me a little while later, it was just a few months later, how her relationship was changing. It was improving. She and her daughter were talking about more things that mattered, not just about behaviors and what the child did wrong. Because I told her, you've got to have more time talking about other things, other areas of development in the child's life, not just what the child is doing wrong all the time. And that was the main thing that changed it for that mother and daughter. I hope that you can have good relationships with your children too. I think it could be beneficial for you to start learning the skills and principles of self-government. There is a video here on this channel called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. Click on the link to that video now and find more skills that you can start teaching yourself and your children so that you can have more self-government today. Click on the link. I'll see you there.